and Russell. Fellas, how are you?
Good. Excellent. I think this is a record for me. This is 2 in a row for me to be on.
Yes, and we lost Mr. Milo for the evening, but we're going to maybe give him a call and see if we can break his chops about that a little bit. This was a little bit sooner than we had originally planned, or maybe I shouldn't say that because I don't know when it's going to actually post. But there was an influx of new voicemails, emails, and a bunch of zombie and Walking Dead news, so we figured we'd record a show here and catch up on things. But first, we have to get to a sponsor, DCBS Service, DCBSservice.com. That's Discount Comic Book Service. This is the place to go for all of your comic books and certainly your Walking Dead trades and hardcover needs. The basic premise is that you order your comics 2 months in advance, and you get tremendous discounts that range usually from 30 to 40% off. You can also order all your trades and hardcovers for The Walking Dead. They have tons of other Walking Dead items as well, like shot glasses and lighters and hoodies and T-shirts and everything with a zombie on it that you can think of. If it is your first time ordering with DCBS, you can add the code WD8, and you're going to get an extra 8% on top of that discount. So now you're talking possibly a 48% discount on your first order. And Russ, don't we have an email from someone abroad who decided to use DCBS?
Oh, yes, we absolutely do. And that was a great surprise to read. So it's from Craig, and he's from the UK. So he says, hey guys, first of all, I'd just like to say well done for Truly Infectious podcast. You dudes are so cool and interesting. I could and do spend hours listening to your show. I first heard of The Walking Dead through a workmate who, knowing I was a fan of the Undead, told me about this up-and-coming little gem of TV brilliance. Unfortunately for me, I'd missed a whole lot, so I went to iTunes and searched TWD, and I fortunately found your podcast. No TV shows, though. Anyway, I found ways and means of getting my hands on the episodes, and have been hooked ever since. Upon listening to the podcast, I found out about the comics/graphic novels, bought the first one at my local bookstore, which was quite pricey, so I thought I'd give your sponsors a try, and DCB Service came up trumps. I saved a packet, even with international shipping costs, and will be using their great services again. Keep up the good work, guys, and the greatest of regards from Scotland. Thanks again. By the way, I gave you a review on the UK iStore.
Fantastic. So
you saved a packet.
A packet. And even
you saved a packet. You could have bought a packet of crisps.
So even shipping abroad, you can save a bundle with DCBService.com. So please check them out. We appreciate their sponsorship. They've also given us books that we've been giving away all along, and it's been working out great. So thanks to DCBS.
And if you'd like the Walking Dead TV podcast to make fun of your home country, send us an email at comments@walkingdeadtv.com.
Speaking of making fun of other countries, Jim, don't we have another sponsor today?
Indeed, keeping with the across-the-pond flavor of our first email, we have a new sponsor, Scream Horror Magazine. You can check them out at www.screamhorror.com. Scream is Britain's premier horror magazine, your best source for horror movies, DVD, and Blu-rays, reviews, previews, celebrity interviews, books, games, film festival reports, comics, and pretty much anything else you can think of in the world of horror. So they cover it all. The magazine is published bi-monthly and available at all good newsagents and bookstores across the UK, and copies are available online at www.screamhorror.com.
Yeah,
really good.
Yeah, it's awesome. We do have some listeners, obviously in the UK, but we're glad to have Scream Horror Magazine as a sponsor, and hopefully find some more of those people. And what's the coolest thing about Scream Horror Magazine right now, Jim?
Well, yours truly and the rest of my cohorts here on the Walking Dead TV podcast are about to have a nice article that we have written together by committee, as it were, in Scream Horror Magazine, an upcoming issue about The Walking Dead. So check that out. That'll be awesome.
Yeah, definitely. That's been a lot of fun. We're hoping to do like a frequently asked questions about The Walking Dead television show type article, and we're having a lot of fun putting that together. So look for that in the March issue, which again you can get online or in stores if you're in the UK.
From a good news agent.
Yes, and save a packet. All right, Jordan, how about some Walking Dead news?
Sure. Well, first off, we talked about it a few episodes ago, or I should say I joked about it, but it turns out we have Walking Dead action figures coming from McFarlane Toys. They do Halo action figures, lots of video game stuff, and now they're doing Walking Dead figures. They're going to be doing 2 sets of 4. The first series is comic books, and so that'll be Officer Rick Grimes, Michonne, a zombie lurker, and a zombie roamer as they appear in the comics. And then later on they're going to do series 2, which will be based on the TV show. That'll be Deputy Rick Grimes, Daryl Dixon, everybody's favorite, Zombie Walker, and Zombie Biter, which I should mention the image that they're using for that. We haven't seen the toy prototype yet, but the image for Zombie Biter is none other than Buster the Zombie.
Let me ask you a quick question here. The comic book line, the 4 that are coming out based on the comic book, are they going to be in black and white only?
No, we've seen images of them, and they were all in color. They are most of them at least based off of the covers to the comic, which are of course in color, even though the internals are black and white. So it's Rick he appears on the cover of issue number 1 in color. Michonne, she appears on the cover of issue number 19, more or less. And the zombies, I couldn't tell you exactly which comics they're from, but they're fairly comic accurate.
I sense a crazy 1 per 15 case black and white variant of Rick Grimes somewhere in the future.
Yeah, I think that's a good guess.
If it's McFarlane, if it's McFarlane, that's a safe bet.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you one thing: if they come out with a Laurie with a removable wedding ring or a Merle with a removable hand, we're going to the tapes and speaking to a lawyer. Well, I guess we can speak to Jordan.
Shane with action hike pants.
Okay, so anybody who follows our Twitter knows that there was a little bit of a spirited debate about the Michonne figure. Michonne is a character that we haven't gotten into much because she is only in the comics. She doesn't appear in the first volume, which are the comics that we have covered in the past. So we haven't gotten to speak about her a lot. But, well, the prototype figure is dressed kind of funny, says me. And, well, how should we do this? Okay, let's assume that the prototype is the figure. All right, there's no way to have an argument by saying that, well, it's probably not going to look that way anyway. So let's just assume the prototype is how the actual figure comes out. I was unhappy with the way she's dressed. She has a vest of some kind. Like, what woman wears a vest with no shirt underneath? Is it like a naughty secretary from some Cinemax channel late at night? Or I'm not exactly sure, but she has a low-cut vest on. I guess I will concede that there are some sort of leggings or pants underneath the skirt, which is what the character wore in the book. But I wasn't happy about the sexualization of the character. And Jordan, I guess your stance is that there is none?
Okay, well, let me be clear. I do think it is a slightly more sexualized version of the character than the image is based on. It's based on the cover of issue 19. But basically, the only difference is her shirt is slightly lower cut, or not shirt, but the vest. And there might be a shirt on underneath in the final, but we're not going to get into that. And the vest is slightly higher at its base than it is on the front of the comic. And she's not wearing a scarf like she is, because in the cover of issue number 19, it's kind of winter. So it could be a removable scarf, it could be actual fabric or something, because this is like a plasticine prototype. But whether it's an over-sexualization, maybe slightly, but this is, for all intents and purposes, how she looks like in the comic. In fact, there was one comment, I don't remember exactly who made it on Twitter, but that about her chest size, shall we say. I actually think the prototype of the action figure here has a smaller bust size than she does on the cover of that comic. I've got both images right here, and to me, it's larger there.
We can, again, you're talking about the only differences. Okay, the only differences is a change that totally shows off cleavage and a perfectly placed scarf that covers the cleavage. So even though there's only 2 changes, they're totally in the places that, smell of sexuality. And of course, the midriff with the no shirt underneath the vest and stuff. And I have more to say, but I would like to hear Jim and Russ on this as well, since Jordan and I kind of argued on the side already, and we didn't hear much from you guys.
I mean, McFarlane toys, I mean, in the 90s, they were famous for having that No Panties Angela, or whatever it was. It was a variant that was like 1 in every 20 of Angela the Angel from Spawn, and she didn't have any panties on underneath her skirt.
She didn't have anything else, just blank. But
well, that's true, right? But it was just blank. You're right, sure. But thanks for checking that out for us. Anyway, but I mean, I don't know, they do tend to over-sexualize their characters. At least I've noticed with like the sculpts McFarlane uses, unless they're going very photorealistic. Or, like for instance, the Halo toys are very, very close to the computer models because it'd be very easy for them to sculpt from the computer models. Whereas when they're trying to do living people, they tend to exaggerate their appearances. But there have been some exceptions, like they did the Lost action figures, and those are pretty much to scale with the way people look. They didn't really go too far with them. So I kind of wonder why they would tamper with Michonne in a major way.
Well, to be fair, this is just a drawn image so far. We don't have an actress playing the character yet.
Right, but there's so many fans of The Walking Dead who know what Michonne looks like that I couldn't see them going too far off of in the model from the comic.
Russell?
And I mean, she's a favorite character of the fans as well. I mean, Brad and I both said, in the one episode that's what we're looking forward to seeing, in the show was Michonne. And for good reason, she's a great character, but I won't go into details.
Yeah, I think it just detracts. I mean, maybe I'm being overly reading too much into it. I will agree with Jordan, concede that the bust size of the model in the figure does look more natural and less pronounced, say, than in the comic, which is fine. Usually it's funny because usually they go the other way. So I thought that was odd that's the choice they decided to scale back on. But Michonne, how do I say this, isn't really portrayed as being a sexual character in the comic. Now, certain situations may lend themselves to her character, but it's more of I guess I would say a private setting. And this is a little more exhibitionist than I think her character really is. And given her appearance in the comic when she shows up and given her aggressive nature, it just seems more natural that you would try and cover up. Now, granted, she did, it was kind of wintertime, but it would make more sense for her to be more clothed than not, just simply for protection, if nothing else. And I just think it doesn't really capture the essence of the character when they do stuff like this. I mean, certain characters in comics or movies or whatever, if they're being more realistic and that's how they're portrayed in the comic, then fine. If they take a few liberties, I mean, there's artists over time draw characters different ways, but Michonne's been pretty consistently drawn since she's been in. And to me, to have the vest with no shirt underneath it, and I mean, I looked at this thing fairly close, and I mean, granted, this is a monochromatic test mold, I guess I would say, but I don't see any neckline drawn at all. I mean, there's detail at her neck area, collarbone and stuff. We can see that's detailed out. The first images we saw of her from like waist down, you couldn't see barely below the knees, and there was no definition there. It was very flat. So to me, that's why I thought, okay, there's probably pants here because you can't see a defined kneecap or, her legs weren't very defined. They were very, very flat and formless. But with the upper portion on this model that we're seeing, there's definitely no neckline or no like t-shirt or any kind of shirt up underneath it. So, again, I think when you're going to model something like that, you should stick with the essence of the character. I mean, that's the whole purpose of, making a figure is to make it capture the feel for how they appear either on film or in comic or animation or whatever the case may be.
And if our listeners want to be able to judge themselves, I'm sure we can put both of these images up of the comic character and of the action figure in the article image for this. So go to hhwled.com or walkingdeadtv.com and go to the article where this episode was posted. You can see those images for yourself.
Let me see if I can see what Brad says.
If you know the phrase, it pays.
Hey, Brad, I've been waiting for you to call me, but unfortunately I can't talk to you right now because we're on phone or I'm solving some big world crisis. So leave me a message and I'll get right back to you. Thanks.
We're going to leave this in. Hey, Brad, this is your Walking Dead TV podcast friends. I hope you had fun out at the movies while we sit home and record the show that we're dedicated to. So, you suck. See you later. So anyway, my last word on it is I have nothing against sexualized characters if that's who they are. They don't all have to be that way. Like it's okay to have one that's not. So it just kind of bothers me that they change someone. And I'm not gonna buy the figure if it looks like that because that's not really the Michonne that I know. And it's not like a morality thing. Like I wouldn't buy a figure that had big boobs sticking out or anything. I don't know. That's not the picture I have of Michonne, so I'll probably stay away from that one. So what's the Dallas Con news, Mr. Latham?
It looks like for the Dallas Con in May, there is going to be a slew of Walking Dead guests there. Laurie Holden is going to be there, and that's probably the biggest, I guess, guest of the bunch. But then a bunch of the Vatos are going to be there from their episode. I hope I pronounced his name properly. So it's Noel Guglielmi, Neil Brown, Anthony Guajardo, Viviana Chavez, and James Gonzaba. They're all going to be there. And maybe we have an in. I'm hoping, Brad and I are hoping both, that Irony Singleton is going to be there as well, who we've interviewed in the past. So we've kind of got a little bit of an in there. So with such a strong Walking Dead presence at the Dallas Comic Con, we're hoping maybe we can either get some interviews, or I imagine by this time either they're going to be either getting ready to do some filming or in the middle of filming, maybe on a break. And I'm hoping that the dates still stick and that they don't get stuck, having to do pickups or shooting or something like that and can't make it. But it's a Dallas Comic Con. It's going to be May 21st and 22nd of 2011 at the Irving Convention Center. And now this is the new convention center in the Dallas area that they've created. And so far it looks like I'm looking at the exhibitor space and stuff, and it looks like they've pre-sold quite a bit, which is good news. Moving to a big venue is always a little bit scary, but there's going to be a lot of cool comic artists and guests, a lot of celebrity guests, Stan Lee, Carrie Fisher, Leonard Nimoy is going to be there. And again, it's May 21st and 22nd. To check out the guest list, you can go to sci-fiexpo.com, and from there it'll take you. There's only right at the top. This is Dallas Comic Con, so we'll post this in the show notes. But again, we got plenty of time. It's only end of February-ish right now, and this is May 21st, 22nd. But Brad and I both thought it was really cool because we'll definitely be there for the weekend.
Very nice. I want to jump to a voicemail that we got, and we'll continue on with some more news and such.
Hey guys, it's Soda, calling just with a topic conversation. Actually, I was just curious on your guys' opinion. I know this is kind of an older movie. Well, not really. It was last year, 2010 is when it came out in theaters, but it's been on like Showtime Stars a bunch lately. Is Timothy Olyphant in The Crazies? I just want to know if you guys saw it, what your opinion of it is. Does it technically classify under the zombie genre or not? There's a big area of debate there, but I've been watching it a lot lately. I'm a fan of it primarily because it takes place in Iowa in some made-up community called Ogden Marsh, which they even went through a little bit of trouble and made, I believe, 3 different websites for the marketing of the movie. OgdenMarsh.com. The sheriff's department even has his own one, OgdenMarshSheriff.com. And then, of course, DPChemicals.com, which is for back in Pendrell. It's the chemical corporation that has a plant there that obviously was engineering this chemical weapon to that ends up killing the town for the most part. So, anyway, just want to know what your guys' opinion of the movie was, and does this technically classify as a zombie movie? Crazy zombies, who would have done? So, that's it. Keep up the good work, and I'll talk to you guys later.
All right, Mr. Joe Jans checking in, big friend of the show. Anybody see The Crazies?
I did. Interestingly enough, from the sound of his voice, he probably wasn't aware of this. The Crazies is actually a remake. And do you know who directed the original?
I'm going to guess Frank Darabont.
George Romero.
Jim is correct. It's Mr. George A. Romero. It's one of the few non-zombie movies that he's directed. I believe the distinction here would be, and granted, I only saw the remake once. I haven't actually seen the original. Don't hit me. I'm sorry. I've been meaning to. But I don't believe that the Crazies are dead. Therefore, not zombies. They're just crazy. They're like, the rage virus infected people in 28 days and 28 weeks later. But it's the remake was very good. I'm really enjoying Timothy Olyphant's work these days.
I was going to say, I've seen the original, but not the remake. And the original's the same thing. It was kind of a step away from George Romero to do something different. There wasn't about zombies. But the people were alive. They were just infected with some virus that made them insane. So I don't know if I'd quite call them zombies. But I haven't seen the remake, so I really can't talk about that.
It's pretty much the same thing, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I think the one distinguishing factor that I go by for a zombie is that it's dead. So, no is our answer, Joe.
You can't be undead unless you're dead first.
All right, so we talked about last week that there was a possibility of a Walking Dead video game being announced by Telltale Games. They are the guys behind the current Sam & Max games, the brand new Back to the Future game, Strong Bad's fantastic game for attractive people. I know I'm butchering that title slightly, but it's weird. They do mostly point-and-click adventure games. They're currently working on a Jurassic Park game. I think the trailer just came out like 2 days ago, and we don't know exactly what genre that will be, but generally they're known for their point-and-click adventure games. They've just announced several new properties, including Fables, which is another comic that's coming to TV soon, maybe. We'll see. And The Walking Dead. And here's some of the things they had to say in the article where they announced it. People who read The Walking Dead are fans of the books and have gotten through all 13 trades or are with issue understand it's not really about the zombies, it's about these people. And anyone who's into Telltale Games and has played our games understands that our games are about the people who are in them. It's just a natural fit for us. The guys who come to work at Telltale, we choose to come to work at Telltale. That's the kind of stuff we like. It's also a way for the guys who have been told we tell jokes really well all the time to not tell jokes for a while. The fact that life and death and humanity play giant roles are really the only thing that are at stake in this franchise. It's not about money or who's taking over the world. It's literally about life and death and the ones you love. That's a really exciting thing for me personally as a writer. So what do you guys think? Are you excited about a point-and-click adventure game or maybe possibly another genre for The Walking Dead? I know we talked about this on last week, but now we have a definite it's happening. What are your thoughts?
I'm cautiously optimistic.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
Well, the interesting part to me is Telltale is known, like you said in the press release, Jordan, for humor. I mean, if you look at their game Sam & Max and even the Back to the Future game and whatnot, that's the genre they've worked in. I think it'll be interesting to see how they take their style of gaming, which is very old school, like you say, point-and-click adventure style, to something with a lot more gravitas, or a lot more drama, like The Walking Dead. It'll be interesting to see if that's a good fit in gameplay.
It's interesting going to that type of gameplay. It kind of died out. I mean, it was big in the early 90s, and then it was gone for the longest time. They kind of reanimated that corpse themselves. It's a zombie of a genre.
I think the downloadable market has really a lot to do with it too, because they can release them episodically as small, bite-sized pieces for $5 or $10 a pop over Steam or Xbox Live, and it makes it more economically viable than having to get together AAA $60 direct-to-disc release. So it'll be interesting to see what they do.
Most zombie video games are pretty good. I mean, there's so many of them, but I think they have a pretty good track record. I mean, if you go back to Resident Evil and the what's the ones in the mall?
Dead Rising.
Right, Dead Rising, Left 4 Dead, all those. I mean, they're pretty popular games, and they're pretty well rated as well.
Plus
yeah,
all
I had a
the
lot of problems with Dead Rising. The save system was pretty broken, and the whole time limit thing was really kind of annoying. I mean, if you're going to set somebody free in a mall with hundreds of weapons to interact with and all these zombies to kill, why give them time limit to do so? But I agree with you for the most part. I mean, Left 4 Dead is incredible. The Resident Evil series has always been high quality. And even the zombie, the Undead Nightmare add-on for Red Dead Redemption was really good.
I have a voicemail that has a little video game tie-in. Let's check that out.
Hey guys, this is Terry. I'm calling from the state of Michigan. Just want to call in with a couple thoughts. Number one, when you're talking about the Walking Dead video game, Dead Rising and Dead Rising 2 are pretty similar to Walking Dead in the aspect that there's lots of zombies, you can kill them, and then also because of the zombie apocalypse, there are people who are considered psychopaths, which reminds me of many characters from Walking Dead that we run into because these people are psychopaths because of the whole zombie apocalypse and now they're all crazy and stuff. So thing number two I want to talk about is just your thoughts on what kind of stuff they can get away with in the TV show that they were able to do in the comics. I'd like to talk about them. Unfortunately, I don't really want to talk about comic book spoilers because I know you guys don't like to. But they do some pretty crazy stuff in the comics, and I'd be really curious to see what boundaries they can push on the TV show. So I just want to know your thoughts on that. All right, thanks a lot, guys. Love the podcast.
Cool. Thanks for that call. Well, I guess I'll start with the second point first. After seeing the first season and all the axes to the heads and the beating of zombies with bats and, of course, the guts episode, I think all bets are off. I think they can do pretty much anything that we've seen in the comic. I can't think of something off the top of my head that they would have to skip out on.
I think there's
I can think of one.
Yeah, I don't know how I say this without being spoilerish, but I think
Balls of Drill?
Yeah, there's that whole sequence. There's what happens in issue 48 that I think might be tough to be as graphic on screen as they did in the book. Even for AMC, I mean, yeah, we've seen a lot when it's come to human on zombie violence, but I think any possible human on human violence in some of the situations may push the boundaries a little much, in my opinion. I think they can do it, but I think it'll be more off camera. Like you'll see the aftermath of it, but you won't see the actual event.
As for the first point, I think that's a pretty common theme. Like even in the post-apocalyptic films and stuff, there always seems to be people that are just crazy now because of it, that make little tribes and gangs and things like that. It seems like when the government breaks down in entertainment in futures, there always becomes these like band of crazy like Mad Max people gangs.
Yeah,
I don't know if that's what's going on in Dead Rising.
Yeah,
and stuff.
in Fallout New Vegas, they're not only zombies, but they're also gangs of crazy people like you're talking about.
And so that's pretty much all the video game news. The only thing that I didn't mention is we don't know exactly when it's going to come out. These things can have, I think the shortest turnaround you're going to find for video games is about a year. And, that might lend itself well to a point-and-click adventure. But generally, video game development takes a while. So we might be waiting until season 3 or 4 even to see this video game. But another thing they talked about in the article is it's going to be more closely based on the book. They went so far as to call it canon in several places, like canon to the side of the book, like maybe characters that you don't necessarily see. So that'll be very interesting. If they are official canon, whatever happens in this game, the official version anyway, that I'm very interested to see.
While we're on the subject of zombies and video games, who checked out that, I keep forgetting the name, is it Dead Island?
Dead Island looks incredible.
I'm totally in the dark. Was this a game that everybody knew about and now the trailer hit, or was this a
They
total
put
surprise?
out a 30-second trailer at like E3 or one of those video game type conventions in 2007. And in that 30-second trailer, which was kind of lame, let's be honest, it said coming 2008. Well, as you would guess, it didn't show up in 2008. We're now in 2011. They just released this announcement trailer, which is weird because it was announced, like I said, 3 years ago or 4 years ago. And I don't know, do you guys want to describe exactly what happens in it? Because it's pretty incredible.
Well, it's kind of funny. I remember reading on Games Radar a year or two ago that had like the top 20 lost games, like games that had been announced or promoted in some way and then never seen the light of day. And this was like number 3. So I guess they did such a bad job of promoting it. Not even the gaming press knew that people were still working on it until this trailer came out. But it's pretty interesting. It's two different. It's one different storyline, but broken up non-chronologically.
Yeah, it's kind of like Memento, where it's got the dueling timelines, or there's a specific episode of the Venture Brothers that did a similar thing, where it's got one going one direction, one going the opposite direction.
Right. The one is a rewind of a little girl falling from a giant skyscraper, and then the quote-unquote present, I guess, would be the family running from the zombies and trying to hide in the room. And we see the scene from both ends of the timeline happening almost simultaneously, one in reverse and one in forward. And it's pretty cool the way it's edited together. I know there's also a chronological version available on YouTube, but I much prefer the original.
Yeah, it doesn't really have the same emotional impact when it's seen in a straightforward kind of way. So it is really cool how they did this one.
Russ, how are we on emails? We have a couple more that we can get to?
We do.
It's almost like I knew that when I asked you.
That's true. The first one is we got 2 from Robert from Houston. So
That's in Texas.
That's right, my neighbor to the east, directly to the east, my former home of 20 years. So he says, hi, this is Robert from Houston. I was doing my laundry at the laundromat today when a Jehovah's Witness handed me a Watchtower pamphlet while I was listening to your podcast on my iPhone. This was literally the first thing I saw when I opened it. A lovely scene of Morgan holding his undead son telling me that the zombie apocalypse is coming. I had a great laugh while listening to a great podcast. So to go with the email, and maybe we'll post this picture up.
That's got to be our image. That'll be our website image for this episode.
Yeah. It's an African-American man, and he's hugging his son. And the quote on the pamphlet that he sent to us says, the resurrection of the dead is one of the fundamental truths taught in the Bible. So it's kind of funny that he happened to be listening to our show and dealing with The Walking Dead while this happened to come across come to his presence.
And there's also what I guess I would call an angel who's off camera, if you will, but the arm is reaching into the picture to hold out a loving hand. But if you're reading it in this context, it could also be a zombie reaching out to grab the boy who's being hugged by Morgan.
Yes. So it's one of those funny ironies, I guess I'll call it. So then we got another email from Robert. This one has to do with the CDC. So he says, I get the impression that many people believe that the CDC computer was too sci-fi. I tend to disagree. I didn't see that the computer had an advanced AI. It just followed voice commands. That really isn't very far out there. After all, I can tell my phone to call different people and to play songs stored on it. Why not a supercomputer in CDC? Really, anything in the CDC is up to debate considering the classified nature of the inner workings of that facility. Just a thought.
There's something that really bothers me about the CSI and NCIS shows, or all the really advanced hyper computer tech that they have. You know what I mean? They always have the lab covered with giant big screen TVs, all touch sensitive, like using Microsoft Surface, which we don't have yet. And I mean, nothing could be further from the truth if you've ever been into a crime lab. I mean, as far as the CDC's portrayal of the computers, I agree with Robert. Didn't seem too far out of line, with what could be in there.
Yeah, user interface design on television and movies always cracks me up because it has no basis in reality at all. I mean, that's just mainly meant so that the viewer just doesn't stare at a blank screen with somebody either keying in words or clicking a button and have data retrieved. I just love it when the shows, whenever they do something, there's always a graphical representation of everything. Like if somebody's looking for a file, it's almost like a hand comes out to a cabinet and opens the drawer and starts rifling through stuff, and then it pops up. Or there's always this advanced UI to every type of interface that comes across. And being kind of a tech guy and dealing with the software industry and user interfaces and stuff like that for many, many years, it just always cracks me up to see stuff like that.
It's also funny that on TV and movies, anybody can find anything online in 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Here, wait.
Yeah.
Okay, I've hacked into NORAD. Here it is.
Yeah.
But I think the whole voice command thing in that episode was mainly just to add dramatic tension.
Sure.
Towards the end when he set the self-destruct.
I remember when I watched it, I thought it was a little too sci-fi. I remember commenting on it. I can't really even remember exactly what it did that made me feel that way. But that'd be one of the interesting things when we do the commentary and when the DVDs come out, we get to rewatch all the episodes to kind of revisit these nitpicks and see how we feel about it the second time around.
Which is probably the last episode we'll release before the DVDs come out, isn't it?
Yeah, I think
maybe one more.
We could do an early March and then do our kind of DVD release episode late March, or we could reverse that and do the DVD one first and then a late March.
It's coming soon, March 8th.
Yeah. So it'll definitely be soon. How about that?
Yeah, I will say this representation of crazy UI was less offensive to me than I've seen on many, many, many different types of shows. So it didn't make me roll my eyes like a lot of them have.
I also want to mention that Robert sent in a voicemail as well, but I'm not going to play it because he gets into a lot of comic spoilers on it. The gist of the voicemail is, I guess Robert is a fairly new listener and he's going back and hearing our shows from the beginning. So it was basically another "What's with the Lori hate" voicemail, which we've kind of visited, I guess, in the past. I don't know. I think I'm pretty much over it. She doesn't really bother me on the show at all.
Somebody tweeted me Lori hate the other day. I think it was Chubtoad, and I was like, "Oh, we're done with this." It came so out of nowhere.
It never dies. I think the revelation at the end of what I guess maybe episode 5. No, yeah, I guess it was the finale of what Shane's, what really happened and I guess it was.
Well, we found out in the finale what he thought happened. We found out it was 4 or 5 what she thought happened.
Right. So I guess once that kind of came to light, I think, and again, like you said, John, we kind of hashed this out, but I think that's what kind of settled out some of the Lori hate, at least in my opinion.
Yeah, and I mean, you know what? I'm not taking back what I said about comic Lori. I mean, I'm sorry. I don't. She's not one of my favorite characters in the book. It's got nothing to do with women or men or who I think's right or wrong. Some of the way she comes across just bugged me, and I think Jim kind of led the parade on that one. And we're through with that.
I still feel the same way about comic Lori, and my jury is still out on TV Lori.
Well, TV Shane gives us lots to talk about, so
Yeah.
that's cool. So I think I'm going to make this call. We were originally going to debate whether we would include a little bit of a special episode on the end of this show, but we're going to save it for a separate show now. So would Russ and Jordan, would you guys like to explain our little special episode that we'll have? I guess that'll be one of our shows in March. If one of them is the DVD show, the other one can be your AMC special.
Sure. Well, I have been watching AMC for a few years now with Breaking Bad and Mad Men and getting myself caught up on those. So even before we saw trailers for The Walking Dead, or just as soon as it was announced and it was going to be on AMC, I was excited based on the pedigree. And I've got other people to watch it, including Russ. And getting him. You're not caught up on Breaking Bad and Mad Men, right, sir?
Yeah, I went through a rip of Breaking Bad because it was just one. Again, when I tend to get into a show, I tend to just go all in and just watch like tons of episodes over a very short period of time.
And so we both love pretty much everything that AMC has to offer. And so we want to spotlight some of that for people who might have not seen Breaking Bad or Mad Men, which are two of the best shows on television. If you've only seen The Walking Dead and you like what they've done there, you're going to want to check out this episode to hear about some of the other incredible programs they're doing.
Awesome. I look forward to that as well. I'll not be able to participate because I have not watched those shows. Yeah, I'm not cool. And I haven't caught up on those shows. It's one of those things that I know I will because everybody says how great it is, and I don't debate that, but it'll come around. But that's cool. I'm glad you guys are going to get a chance to do that. So I think that'll be the plan. I think we'll do the DVD/Blu-ray release show in March, and we'll just kind of generally go over it. Maybe we'll look at some of the special features and trailers and different things they have on the set. And then in the following months, we'll go into each episode and do the commentary for each show. And then our other March show will be the AMC special. So that should be a lot of fun.
Sounds good.
Jim, how about you wrap this up?
Well, ladies and gentlemen, that just about wraps up episode 19 of the Walking Dead TV podcast. If you would like to leave us a voicemail, that number is 516-468-7912. Or you can email us at comments@walkingdeadtv.com. Check out our other podcasts, Half Hour Wasted on Mondays, and The Legion of Dudes on Thursdays at hhwlod.com. We have Facebook groups for Legion of Dudes, Half Hour Wasted, The Walking Dead TV podcast, and Media Minutes, our new feature of little media blast reviews, 5-minute reviews you might dig. Check those out as well. You can join us on Twitter at WDTV podcast and at HHWLOD_network.
Bring it home, Mr. Jersey.
So until there's no room left in hell and the dead walk the earth, remember, whatever your favorite type of zombie video game, there's no denying that the semi-automatic shotgun is the way to go. Unless you can find a katana, or chainsaw, or sniper rifle. You know what, just take it. Have a good night. Episode title, Save a Packet, possibly?
Yeah, unless something else crazy. You never know because we're going to call Brad, so we might have another title altogether. But as of right now, I'd say Save a Packet is in the lead.
What do you go see, Romeo and Juliet?
Dead on, Pride Land, man.
I don't know, maybe his upstream is better than his downstream or something.
All right, I guess
That's what she said.
Yeah.
Was this a game that everybody knew